Well, hi everybody, I'm Dr. Ron Caskey. You probably already knew that if you've been over to my website. By the way, my website's www.roncaskey.com. That's spelled R-O-N-C-A-S-K-E-Y. We're starting today to make some short 10-minute videos. I don't know what to call them, sermonettes. I don't know, sermons, maybe 10 minutes in the preacher's office, something short and quick to help you get through the week. And they may be motivational, they may be inspirational, but they will always be biblical. And based on my history, pastoring 22 years, building Christian schools, reading through the Bible over 5,800 times, there's so much in here that I just kind of wanted to get a little message out every week to help folks. Today I want to start out with, and we'll do different subjects. They may be leaning on finances, they may be just daily living, any number of things. And so what I wanted to start out today with is, what is your life? A couple of weeks ago, I was in Fort Worth, Texas, and I preached a message on this. What is your life? The answer is in the dash on your tombstone. Well, then I preached that again in Otis, Colorado, just a week ago. And some people said, man, did you record that and can we hear it? No, I don't think it was recorded, but I'm going to start out with that today, and we may continue it next week, and these may continue. We may do this one a couple of weeks. But in Fort Worth, I had the preacher down there go out to the place that carves tombstones in granite, and I said, bring me a tombstone, set it up in front of the pulpit. I don't care what dates it has on it, don't care what name it has on it, as long as it's not mine. And so he brought this tombstone. It was too heavy to even carry. And when I left there, I said, I don't know what you're going to do with this tombstone, but I'm not going to carry it around. So, but you can get the picture. On every tombstone, in every obituary that you ever read, in the little pamphlets they hand out at funerals, it always says the name, then it's born at a date. In my case, it'd be 1943, then a dash, and then the year the person died. Now think about that dash. What is your life? The answer is in that dash on your tombstone. That one little dash, and they're about this long on tombstones, and that one dash represents that person's life. Whether that was 2 days, 20 years, 80 years, 100 years, it doesn't matter, but that dash from the day they were born to the day they died, their entire life is represented by that dash on that tombstone. You say, well, that's not much. Well, just think about that for a minute, because James chapter 4 and verse 14 says, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes away. He said, James said, your life's just like a puff of smoke, just a vapor, a cloud that is here right now, and then it vanishes away. In fact, he says in verse 15, for that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. But now ye rejoice in your boastings, all such rejoicing is evil. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Over in Mark chapter 8, and verse 36, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? You know, in my day job and my career, I deal in safe money instruments to protect God's money, people's money, whether it's for retirement or whatever it's for. You work hard for your money. And so now and then people say, well, you concentrate too much on money. Well, try and do anything on this planet Earth without money. Nothing moves on planet Earth without it. And yet you can't make it your God. It can't be an idol. If it stands between you and serving God, it's an idol. And so that's where I would like to kind of launch this little message today. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? So you got to have money. I think it's all God's money. It all belongs to God. We need to be good stewards of God's money, but that isn't where your concentration needs to be. We need to be a conduit from God through us to a lost world. That's why you want to make it. You don't make money and earn money just to collect pictures of dead presidents and carry them around in your pocket or your purse. That's not why you want money. James also said, you have not because you ask not, and when you ask amiss that you might consume it upon your own lust. You got to have the right motivation for having money. Don't make it your God, but what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Think about that dash. When you look back on your life, think about your tombstone. There's going to be one someday, or the Lord's going to come back, one or the other. That's my exit strategy. It's either the grave or the trumpet. But what's that dash on your tombstone represent? Back in July 17th, 1981, there was a big party. It was a dance contest in Kansas City, Missouri at the Hyatt Regency. Thousands of people there in this huge ballroom, drinking and dancing and carrying on and partying and just having a great time. During that dance contest, the floor collapsed. 111 people died and 189 people were injured and carried to local hospitals. And the paper the next morning said this: after that floor collapsed, it said a quiet settled over that entire room. Go with me to another party over in the book of Daniel, and the story there is about King Nebuchadnezzar's son, Belshazzar. Nebuchadnezzar, when he was the king, he stole all of these gold and silver vessels out of the temple. And King Nebuchadnezzar, if you go read that in Daniel chapter 5, you see the whole story there, how Nebuchadnezzar stole all of these vessels, and then he lived such a debauched life after that that he ended up grazing in the fields with the oxen and eating grass, and it says the dew settled on his back. My, how the mighty are fallen. Well, now we come over to Daniel chapter 5, and Belshazzar throws a party for 1,000 of his lords and their wives. And it says that they were drinking from these vessels that Nebuchadnezzar stole out of the temple. Now just get the picture here, and I'll summarize chapter 5. But during this party, a hand came and wrote on the wall these words in Hebrew: Mene, Mene, Tarkel, Upharsin. And Belshazzar said the party stopped and a quiet fell over that room. Same thing happened in Kansas City. And then we read about Belshazzar's dash right here. In these verses 22, thou his son, O Belshazzar, hath not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all of this. And what he's saying is, he called Daniel. He called the fortune tellers and the palm readers and the Chaldeans and the astrologers, and they couldn't interpret this writing on the wall. And so he calls Daniel, and he said, there is a man, the queen, his wife, came in and said, there's a man in whom the Spirit of God is, and he can tell you what that writing is. Well, so he calls Daniel in. We're going to take this up in the next one, but I want you to notice Belshazzar's dash on his tombstone. Here it is. Daniel says, thou hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven. Be careful. Does your dash represent days and years and decades that you served God? Or does that dash represent years and decades that you served the devil? When we come back next week on one of these little 10-minute clips, video clips, I'm going to take up right there and continue and tell you about Belshazzar's dash and what that represented in his life. Let me close out this segment today and just tell you, you can call me. My phone number is 303-710-3791. If you want help with that dash that's going to be on your tombstone, you want help with your life, you got questions, I don't take challenges on the Word of God. The Bible is the Word of God. It's not to be debated. It's settled. God said it. That's all that matters. But if you have questions on that, I'd be glad to help you. 303-710-3791. Go over to my website, check out all the stuff that's over there, and that's www.roncaskey.com. and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.